Welcome to Prepared Enough, a podcast for moms who want to lighten the mental load of motherhood and create homes where kids can thrive. I'm your host, Natasha Mila, former teacher, mom of four, and firm believer that a well-prepared home can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. During each episode, we'll explore simple ways to design organized, intentional spaces and rhythms that build your child's responsibility and bring more ease into your day. So if you're ready to create a home that works with you and not against you, you're in the right place. Hit follow and let's get started. Hey, hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prepared Enough. Today, we are going to be talking about some prompts that will help your children more willingly get rid of their toys. So last episode, we talked about 10 questions that you might want to ask yourself where you're kind of decluttering toys. I like to do a little toy declutter pre-holiday influx, so that's what we're kind of been talking about in the month of November, but I realize that it's the first week of December when you're getting this here. We kind of just skipped over the Thanksgiving weekend. If you're in the United States, we just celebrated Thanksgiving, and now we're here in this first week of December. Christmas, it was a weird year where Thanksgiving and Christmas were a little bit closer together, so there's not much time in between. But yeah, so you probably do have like an hour or two to just go up into your kids' area and help them get rid of a couple things. Even if it's just a couple things before the holidays come, it's going to make you feel a lot better bringing a bunch of things into your house. So yeah, I'm just going to note two things and then we're going to get right into the prompts because we do not have time for like an hour-long episode. Everybody is busy with the holidays, so we're going to get right to it. I just wanted to note something really quick. Now, I don't really follow a strict Montessori, like ideology or whatever, but I do like to incorporate a lot of her things, and that's okay. So I'm just going to tell you a little story about her, but her first classroom, Maria Montessori, her first classroom was full of toys. I think her school, like her first school, was a social project of sorts. And so a ton of wealthy people kind of donated to this project because it was serving children that were in need. And so they donated toys. And so our classroom was full of all these donated toys. And they were like wonderful high-end toys, right? And as she was working in her classroom, she noticed that the kids were just really not playing with the toys all that much. Even when she tried to kind of like spark their interest and rearrange them and show them how to play with different things and stuff, the kids just weren't as inspired by the toys as they were on other activities in her classroom. And she kind of started to remove some of the toys, and she thought that the kids didn't even really notice that she had removed some of them. So yeah, what she kind of noted about that was that she thought children, perhaps like adults, use toys to kind of pass the time. So when they're like adults, you are sitting in today's age, you're probably scrolling on your phone, right? When you're like, oh, what do I do right now? Yeah, I have like 5 minutes here. What am I going to do? And you're like, I'm just gonna get on my phone for a second, see if I got any emails, or like check to see if I got a text message, or whatever you might be doing. That's probably what you're gonna do in those 5-minute periods, right? Or when it was if you had a longer period of time, or it was not 2025, you might have like read a book or played a little board game or played a game of chess or whatever, so kids do something very similar with toys, is what she noted, where they're working on something, and then there's kind of this lull of work, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go putz around with a toy, and then if there's something more important to do, then I'm gonna put that toy away, right? So like, I gotta get back to work, right? And so kids take their work seriously, just like adults do. Like, they have jobs to do, we have jobs to do, right? And so I know a lot of people like to say like play is a child's work, which it kind of is, right? But in a different context. So like she was just saying like, not just playing, but when they're doing something purposeful with those toys or with the items that they have, right? So yeah, so she just noted that. So anyway, that's just a little inspiration for maybe getting rid of more toys than you think you might want to hold on to. Yeah. Okay. And then, yeah, so, and honestly, it's like I feel so wasteful when I get rid of toys. So I totally understand when people hold on to their toys, because when I get rid of like boxes of building toys that we just got last year or something, I cringe, right? And so recently we have this space. And so I have this I'm using like kind of a container method, right? We have this closet, and if the closet overflows, we got to get rid of stuff. But if it fits in the closet, it can stay for now. We still have like little guys. And so I'm kind of to this point where I'm like waiting until everybody kind of gets out of the little kid stage to start getting rid of little kitty things. So we have been holding on to more than we usually do. But I will say that at one point in time, I just got rid of like the majority of my kids' toys, and they had like Magnetiles and dolls and stuffed animals. And honestly, that's pretty much all they play with still. So I seriously think that kids just come up with things to play with what they have. And so what you give them is they're going to be creative with what you give them. So yeah, you really, really do not need a lot of toys. Yes. Okay. So we're going to and then I'm just also going to note, like, if your kids aren't used to donating or getting rid of their toys, bringing in a bunch of boxes or trash bags into their bedrooms or into their toy area with like a big plan of attack is probably going to scare them. So this is just like an idea of how to ease in and make the toy getting rid of a little friendlier for them to start. So you might want to, while you're doing this process, you might want to make the first pile of getting rid of items on the floor and just make it in a small pile. And so like after a small pile of items is made, now I'm not talking like tons and tons of items. I'm talking a very small pile, like 5 items, So once you kind of have that initial little pile of items, you might ask your kid and make him kind of think that it's their idea and say, where do you think we should put these items in order to take them to Goodwill or St. Vinny's or wherever you're going to take them? Like, what do you think we should put these in so that we could carry them to these places? And kind of help them think that it's their idea to go get a box or a trash bag or whatever. And you'd be like, oh, and if they're not really coming up with anything, you'd be like, do you think a trash bag would work to put these in? Do we think we could carry them in a big bag, like maybe like a garbage bag or something? Because I would be careful especially if you're promoting the, like, we're giving these to other kids, maybe not calling them garbage or trash. So, talk about it being a big bag, right? It's funny how your language matters in such a small way, right? But yeah, and if you're really, really nervous about it, you could get a box, like, oh, I have the big box right in the kitchen. Maybe you've already prepped it. Big box right in the kitchen. Should we go get that and bring it in here? Or maybe you can ask them, like, could you go grab that for me and bring it in here and let's put these inside. So yeah. Okay, so that's just kind of an easy way to ease into it a little bit better. All right, so let's get right into these prompts. We have 5 prompts that are going to help your kids willingly get rid of their toys and items. So the first prompt, and now these prompts are going to work pretty good for toddlers and preschoolers. These are especially for kids who are kind of struggling. Like if you have kids that are, veteran donators and get rid ofers and declutterers, you're probably not listening to this episode in the first place. But also, these are probably not going to be necessary. These are just for those kids that are struggling just a little bit or have a hard time getting rid of their things. So, all right. So here's the 5 prompts. 1. And I was just going to say, and preschoolers and toddlers, because they're a little bit younger, so they just don't quite understand yet. Yeah. Okay. So number 1, the first prompt is super easy. I just say keep or get rid of. This one is good because with toddlers, especially because I don't really address donations with young toddlers, or if you have even like a pretty young child that's having a really hard time getting rid of things, just because, discussing the benefits of other children being able to play with your toys is great for like older kids. I would say that it's going to be a lot better when your kids hit like 4 and 5 to start discussing that, just because around 4 or 5, that's when they're starting to develop some empathy and they actually care about other people and not just themselves. So yeah, I think it's hard for a little kid to understand, like, I'm going to give this to this store. Even if they go to secondhand stores often and get other toys and you try to say it, it's like it doesn't click until they're 4 and 5. It depends on your kid, of course, maybe even older. So yeah, just use your best judgment. But I do think that simplicity is better sometimes when kids are struggling to get rid of things, like, because they're thinking of themselves selfishly. They're not thinking of other people. Like, if donate or get rid of like garbage or whatever, like that's too much to think of. So keep or get rid of is a very selfish question. Like, do you want this or do you not want it? Right? So that is just like a more simplified version of decluttering, instead of pulling out all 3 boxes and having a keep, or not a keep, you wouldn't have a box for a keep, but having your place for keeping it. You'd have your donation box and you have your garbage box, or like a store for later. There's a lot more that goes into it, but that's too complicated for younger kids. So keep or get rid of is the first prompt. And then I just like to like hold up the item if they're really struggling, and I'll be like, keep or get rid of. And then they say keep. If they say keep like 10 times in a row, then I'll start, or if it's an item that I'm like, I don't think you really want to keep this, I'll be like, are you sure? Maybe we could get rid of this one. What do you think? And then a lot of times they're like, yeah, get rid of. But yeah. Okay. Number 2, the second prompt. Pick your favorite is what you're going to say. So pick your favorite. So you'll probably like dump out a container of items or a basket of items, bucket, whatever you have your items in. You're going to dump them out somewhere, and we're going to start putting them back into the container. And this is really helpful for those containers that are overflowing, like you've already reached capacity. It's like you need to get rid of some of the things in those spaces in order for that container to like fit on the shelf nicely, and get cleaned up nicely, right? And so you're like, we need to get rid of some of the things out of this bucket. So you're kind of like having this thing and you have this container, and so you're like, we're going to fit things in here and we're not going to overflow this bucket, right? So you're like, we need to pick our favorites to put in here. And it's easier for kids to pick a favorite and then see that the space is full, and then say, yeah, all these other ones are, yep, we can get rid of those, than saying, I want to get rid of those in the beginning, right? So picking your favorites, you kind of notice which ones are not as ideal for you. So I'll just be like, pick your favorite. All right, pick your next favorite. Okay, pick your next favorite. And then at some point, the container's full and we're kind of just, done with that. Or if your kids are kind of getting to that point where they're like hemming and hawing, be like, well, then you can look through them and be like, could we get rid of this one? And you can start pulling some out then, so that it's easier for them to pick through and see if there's any more that they want or don't want and stuff like that. So you can prompt them that way. But yeah, start by saying, pick your favorite, pick your next favorite, All right, prompt number 3 is, you're going to prompt like a specific item to clutter by suggesting the reason and then like asking if you can get rid of it. So that was really confusing. So for example, like, this part is broken off. Do you think we can get rid of this whole toy? So if you have some items in your house that are not great and you want to get rid of them, this is kind of the prompt that is going to help you. Just suggest the reason, or say the reason that you think the child should get rid of an item and bring it to their attention, because a lot of times kids don't really care that something's broken or think that that's a problem, or whatever, be like, this is really big and it's taking up a lot of space in this area, and I really want to make some room for this. Do you think we can get rid of it? You don't really play with it anymore anyway, So just kind of giving them a good reason for it and then suggesting they get rid of it is something that can help. Now, sometimes they don't go for it, and that's sometimes okay. You can push it a little farther sometimes, and sometimes you can just let it go for now. And, you can, especially coming up with Christmas soon, you can, make a little suggestion about it. And if they say no, then be like, okay, well, let's see what you get for Christmas. And if we need some more space, maybe this can be the first thing to go. So yeah, that's prompt number 3. All right. Prompt number 4 is pick a favorite. Pick one to get rid of. Pick a favorite, pick one to get rid of, alternating. So it's kind of like the second prompt where I said pick your favorite. But this one is going to alternate back and forth. So if you have a big bucket of kind of random things, again, this is helpful. Pick your favorite. Now here, pick one to get rid of. Okay, pick your favorite. Now pick one to get rid of. So that one I really like for especially like toddlers, 3-year-olds and stuff. This one's really helpful because it kind of just starts to dwindle that pile down real fast. All right, prompt number 5 and the last prompt, preschoolers. This is for preschoolers again. Preschoolers are older kids, but preschoolers can be excited to give something to somebody else. So this is where I'm talking about that empathy thing now. So if they're old enough to understand that another child could play with a toy or care for a doll or whatever, if they give their then this is where you would let them know, like if you give your toys to donation, you're going to be bringing another child joy. They're going to have so much fun with this toy. And right now it's just sitting on your shelf, So ask your preschoolers which toys they are done playing with and that they would like to rehome to another child. So like, which toys do you think, is there any toys on this shelf that you don't really play with too much anymore that another kid would have so much fun playing with that we could give to another kid, So see if you can prompt some older children that way. This again is kind of confusing for like 3-year-olds and under. So I just would only use this with 4 and up, and even 4 is a little bit iffy. Sometimes a younger 4 might still not understand. So yeah, because then they might say that, but they don't really mean that they want to get rid of the toy. And that's where you get kind of that confusing, like, oh, I got rid of that already. They just didn't understand. They were like, I thought I was just borrowing it, or, they didn't understand. Right. So yeah, I would only use that prompt with a little bit older children. All right. So that was all 5 of the prompts, and we are gonna get you out of here today early. So thank you for listening to another episode of Prepared Enough. We are going to be back for, I think, just one more episode in December here because we're almost done with the entire year. We are coming back in January then every other week, and we are going to have very specific episodes on different spaces. Like we'll do kind of monthly themes, and we're going to have very specific spaces that we're going to be working on throughout the year. And yeah, so I will probably give you a little bit more of an update on what's to come in December here. Maybe we'll see if we'll add it on to the next episode or if we'll do like an extra episode. I don't know. I'm undecided yet. So, but yeah, we'll have at least just one more episode here in December, maybe 2. We'll see. Maybe just like a quick short one with some updates. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, that is all. Thank you for listening to another episode of Prepared Enough. If you found this episode useful and helpful to you, I would super appreciate you leaving a review or 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. It is super helpful, especially for us little baby podcasters over here, because they don't really like us unless we have like thousands and thousands and thousands of reviews. They just don't show our shows to anybody. So it's just you guys, you people that are already listening or happen to have searched for this specific topic. So that's all. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Drink water, eat snacks. Tosh.